friends, welcome to the All-Canadian Reptile Girl. I'm Annalise and today we will be talking about some of my favorite weird snakes. This is Higgins, my plains hognose snake. He's pretty weird in his own right, with his upturned snoot, venom that doesn't do much, and an irrational anger towards his meal. But he doesn't hold a candle to the weirdos in today's video. Let's go! So snakes in general are pretty weird, at least compared to other vertebrates. No arms, no legs, well, that actually do anything. Just living life, hunting with nothing but a can-do attitude and a stretchy mouth. Evolution be weird, yo! Despite a body plan that seems like a disadvantage, snakes are the most successful family of reptiles, and despite humans' best efforts, thrive all over the world and have carved out an incredible niche for themselves. But there are those among them that are on a whole other level. These slithery weirdos have carved out a niche within a niche. First up is a snake we actually know very little about. It lives in a remote area in Iran and was only classified in 2006. Kicking things off is the spider-tailed horned viper, or Pseudocerastes eurorachnoides. The genus Pseudocerastes is different from other horned vipers like the Saharan horned viper in that the horn-like structures on their head are made of small scales as opposed to actual horns like those of true horned vipers in the genus Cerastes. Cerastes meaning having horns, so Pseudocerastes means sort of having horns. It may be tricky to pronounce. Adam. Just a cough. Did that sound like words? But at least it's descriptive. And making fake horns is not the only weird thing that these guys do with their scales. Let's look at the other end of the snake. This is where things get weird. Many species of snakes use their tails in interesting ways. Most famously is the rattlesnake that has adopted the world's worst baby toy as a warning. Many other species of snakes shake their tail as a defensive display even without the rattle. Tail buzzing is extremely common in many species. Others use caudal luring, wriggling their tail to mimic a worm or something tasty to entice prey to get close enough to strike. Spider-tailed vipers go even further. Baby vipers start with the generic viper tails, but as they mature, the last two scales swell into bulbous lumps, and the scales along the tail extend into tendrils. It kind of looks like a Stegosaurus's thagomizer. I promise I did not make that word up. Thagomizer is a real thing, and the story of how it came to be is hilarious. But we are not here to learn weird facts about dinosaurs in one-panel daily comic strips from the 80s and 90s. No, we are here to learn weird facts about snakes. So while it looks like a scary weapon, its actual purpose, you've probably gotten ahead of me on this based on the name of the snake, is to mimic a spider. A favorite meal of their favorite meal. Birds. Take a look at this thing in action. Completely invisible with nothing but a fat, juicy spitter ambling about, waiting to be gobbled up. Or so an unsuspecting bird might think. Until, whammo! The hunter becomes the hunted. I know that the blood-melting venom from the front of the snake should really be the scary part, but that tail looks a little bit too much like nightmares I've had, and is absolutely terrifying. What an amazing and disturbing adaptation, eh? In my opinion, the next weird wriggler on my list is the strangest looking snake out there. Leathery skin, long flat head, and two fleshy things sticking out the front of their face. This is the tentacled snake. Tentacled snakes are native to Southeast Asia, where they live in slow-moving streams, murky lakes, and rice paddies. You might think that the weird thing about these snakes is the tentacles from which they are named after, but you'd be wrong. I'll get to that in a second. The tentacles are mechanoreceptors, which are delicate sensory organs that can detect the slightest vibration in the water, which comes in handy because a lot of the water these guys live in looks more like chocolate milk than what comes out of your tap. These receptors help them see the fish that they prey on with zero visibility. This is where the weirdness takes place. Tentacled snakes anchor to branches or rocks in slow-moving water and suspend themselves in a J shape and stay motionless like any other stick along the shore. When a little fish cozies up to what it thinks is a branch is when the magic happens. Anyone who has ever played a first-person shooter game probably knows the value of leading your target. With a moving target, if you aim where they are now, they will be long gone by the time your shot gets there, and you need to aim where they are going to be. Snakes haven't figured that out yet, and are not able to make that kind of calculation. When a snake strikes at its prey, it strikes where the prey is at that moment. Lucky for snakes, their strikes are scary fast and very close, and usually they hit the target before the prey even knows that they are there, even if it's on the move when the snake strikes. However, if the prey is especially speedy with exceptional reaction time, they can dodge the strike. The mongoose is a great example. These guys are notorious cobra killers who can dodge the fastest of strikes with ease. This is what sets the tentacled snake apart. When a fish is in position, the tentacled snake will give a very slight, almost imperceptible twitch, which prompts the fish to dart away, right into the jaws of the snake. You see, unlike every other snake on the planet, the tentacled snake actually predicts where the fish will be a fraction of a second before they even start to move, and will intercept them en route with a lightning fast strike. Then it's all over. They use their rear fangs to deliver the fish-killing venom and consume their scaly morsel. And if that's not impressive enough, I will remind you that they often do this in water with zero visibility, completely blind, using their noodly face sensors. Impressive, eh? What do you think of my favorite weird snake so far? Learning anything cool? If so, please do me a favor and hit that like button. Researching, filming, and editing these videos takes a lot of time, and all told, this little slice of YouTube will probably represent at least 20 hours of work. Hitting that like button helps me figure out what to put that effort on, and what kind of content you guys like. Hitting that button also helps YouTube know if this could be a video other folks might enjoy too. Bottom line is, hitting that little thumbs up helps me out tremendously, so thank you. Okay, moving on to my last snake in our tour of the obscure is one that might not seem all that weird at first, but I assure you they are in fact quite weird. Let's check out the turtle-headed sea snake. Now, sea snakes in general have a lot of odd quirks. Many of them live almost exclusively in the ocean. Many sea snakes have some of the deadliest venom in the world. And here's a fun fact, many of them, despite living in salt water, can't drink it. Just like us, many of these sea snakes will die of dehydration without access to fresh water, which they sip from the ocean surface after it rains. See, fresh water is less dense than the salt water, so a thin layer of fresh water can sit on top of the salt. Never mind, that's getting off topic. Turtle-headed sea snake, right? Okay. These guys are actually kind of adorable, with their stubby blunt head that admittedly is very turtle-looking, and with alternating bands of black and white. They're gorgeous, but none of that makes them especially weird. I mean, lots of snakes, sea snakes and otherwise, have alternating black bands of white and black.
Wait, I'm going somewhere with this.
Scientists discovered that turtle-headed sea snakes in and around Noumea Lagoon in New Caledonia tend to look very different from the rest of the population found elsewhere in their range, in that they produce way more melanin and are almost all black. Historical records indicate that the snakes in this area used to look like those found in the coastal waters around Australia and the Philippines and other parts of Southeast Asia. So the question arose, what was it that was causing these rapid hypermelanistic adaptations in this particular area? Turns out it's us. Sadly, humans are pretty terrible for the environment and for each other sometimes. And this is true of the Noumea Lagoon that has a high concentration of toxic heavy metals like nickel, lead, arsenic, along with other pollutants from nearby nickel mining. These pollutants are pretty nasty and very harmful to life in the area, but it just so happens that melanin is very good at bonding to heavy metals. By adopting a darker coloration, the turtle-headed sea snake has developed a skin with higher capacity to bind to these harmful elements, allowing them to concentrate in the skin instead of the body tissue of the snake that would end up harming them. As you probably know, snakes regularly shed their skin as they grow, and with the shed of the skin goes all of the harmful heavy metals. In studying these sheds, which I don't know exactly how they procure, scientists identified 13 trace elements, particularly cobalt, manganese, lead, zinc, and nickel. Scientists have also discovered that hypermelanistic turtle-headed sea snakes shed their skin more than twice as often as their stripy peers, further reducing the trace element load that they need to deal with. Neat, eh? This particular type of adaptation is called industrial melanism, first identified in 1900 with the peppered moth, which was a light-colored speckled moth prior to the Industrial Revolution, evolving into a black moth with white speckles, presumably to blend in better with the soot-covered England in the 1800s. This adaptation has been observed in over 70 other moth species and several insect species as well. But the turtle-headed sea snakes are the very first marine creatures to exhibit this adaptation, and it might very well be the first vertebrate as well. How cool is that? So there you go. 3 of my favorite weird snakes. There are plenty of others to talk about: the dragon snake, Malagasy leaf-nosed snake, flying snakes, and of course, even more. If you'd like to see another video like this, let me know in the comments below. It was a ton of fun researching this topic, and I really hope that you liked it too. Thanks for watching, and until next time, remember to nurture all nature. Bye! What? Where are you going? We were forced to stay down here. This is the basement, is it not?
Yeah, well, I guess if I stay down here, I don't have to help mom with housework. So.
I'm helping you, really.
That's right.
And rice patties. You might think think of like a rice burger on a giant sandwich.
Yeah. Why is this burger crunchy?
The bones of my enemies. The tentacles are Now, sea snakes.
Oscar, could you not lick your balls while we're videoing, please?
Buddy. But
Back to the ball licking.